Welcome to Studio 1776. I'm your host, Daniel Leach. I'm joined by Eric Hughes Jones, the Freedom Screamer, Chris Cave, who's going to be the topic of discussion tonight, Dave Pruitt, and Heidi. And I believe we may have one other person. I'm not sure who that is, but Jody, yes. Welcome to the program, guys. And I'm going to hand the program right over to you, Eric, and thanks everybody here to join Courtroom Watch and Studio 1776. You can find out more at courtroomwatch.com or Studio 1776.org. And there you go, Eric. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much, Daniel. This is an emergency plea for people to come to the aid of Chris Cave in Las Vegas. Now, anybody who's followed what we do with the Courtroom Watch and the Courtroom Observers and all the work we've done trying to get people out of psychiatric lockups and out of prison, people, patriots mostly, who are unjustly and unlawfully locked up. They're not murderers and rapists. These are good people, people just like us, who are being persecuted by a very corrupt system. And anybody who's followed what we do knows very well the voice of Chris from Las Vegas, who is there for people time after time after time to help out people he's never met before. People like Anna Taylor, Jody Davey, Tanya McCash, Solange Martinez, Navy veteran Tyler Whitman, Air Force veteran Michael Large. I could go on and on and on all night describing the people that Chris has helped get out of some really serious situations, and all of the situations successfully resolved with the help of Chris from Las Vegas. And now look what's happening. The Witches Court is forcing the Witches Traffic Court is forcing Chris into a psychiatric evaluation situation again. Chris has already been not only psychiatrically evaluated a gazillion times, he's been locked up for 2 months in a psychiatric institution against his will, totally unlawfully, by a retired judge named Becker, who has a private practice in Las Vegas, that comes out of retirement to lock up patriots like Chris. So he's already done his time in a psychiatric institution. They let him out because he did not belong in there. And so now they're pulling it again. The Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada, witches and Nazis, as I like to call them, because that's what they're acting like. Why would I call them anything else but? So Chris is being forced into court on Wednesday, this coming, I believe it's February 13th, into traffic court for a potential psychiatric evaluation. What in God's... I mean, this is a first. This is blowing my mind, and I do this all the time. What is the traffic court doing claiming jurisdiction over somebody's psychiatric state of mind? It's absolutely reached a new low of absurdity, has it not? So people, if Chris goes down, a lot of other people are going to go down in the future because of him not being there and not being available to help and assist with his brilliant common law knowledge, his brilliant oration, his brilliant activism and involvement. Who is it? You want to talk about the pot calling the kettle black? Who are these creeps in Las Vegas, in the government and the court and the mayor's office and the district attorney's office and the archbishop's office? Don't forget where the power is. Who are these idiots claiming that Chris, of all people, needs a mental evaluation? Chris is smarter than all of those people put together. Okay? And I know for a fact firsthand, and I'm not doing this to flatter Chris. I'm doing it because it's the truth. And it blows my mind that he's going to be psychiatrically evaluated, or a psychiatric evaluation is going to be forced upon him by the Witches Traffic Court. Not state Supreme Court, not the Court of Common Pleas, not the Appeals Court, not the federal. The Traffic Court? Expired inspection stickers, speeding going 40 and a 30, and psychiatric evaluations? Hello? I mean, what are we going to allow to happen to this? And to put the cherry on top of the cake, the judge is a Chinese communist woman named Cynthia Loon, who obviously has not adapted very well to the American concept of freedom. But she's happy to dress up like a Luciferian, complete with the black witch's robe, and get up there and make claims against the state of mind of people like Chris, who could run mental circles around her with his eyes blindfolded backwards. It's absurd. With that, I'd like to welcome Dave Pruitt from Pruitt's Tree Resin, who does stellar activism. He can testify to Chris that Chris is just a scholar and a gentleman. And we also have Heidi on the line from Minnesota, who helps us do research, and she might have a few things to add to this whole picture. We also have, of course, Daniel Leach from Single Parents, helping singleparents.org, and myself, Eric the Freedom Screamer from courtroomwatch.com, where you can follow this. And I want to ask Daniel, before I welcome Dave and Chris, the man of the hour, the man of the week. I know this is not how he wanted his notoriety, but this is what we get when we're patriots and we're activists. Now, Daniel, did you receive the phone blitz that I sent you just now so we can post up on the website with the numbers to call and all that? Did you get that text I sent you about 5-10 minutes ago? Daniel? Daniel, check your text inbox and make sure you got that text I just sent you. If you did not get it, tell me and I'll resend it.
He's probably muted out across the room.
I did get the text.
That's another side note. Everybody should be on mute if they're not speaking. Well, as soon as I shut up, I'm going to put myself on mute. Otherwise, we get a ton of background noise, and it interferes with the person who is actually speaking. So everybody on mute except for me right now, and then who's ever going to be speaking next. Daniel, did you get that text, yes or no?
Yeah, I did, and I also posted it on our Courtroom Watch group.
Beautiful.
We're broadcasting live from our Facebook group on Courtroom Watch.
Wonderful.
So if they try to block our YouTube page, we also have our other websites.
Yeah, we got multiple platforms. And listen, people out there, we need force multipliers. We need other activists. This is a big case. This is not a small rinky-dinky little thing where Chris got a traffic ticket and he wants some help getting out of a $200 fine. 90% of it going to a state surcharge. No, this is a big deal. They're trying to take the Patriots out of the picture by claiming, mental incompetency. Okay, it's the exact same thing that the Soviets did. It's the exact same things that the Germans did. It's the exact same thing that the Chinese are doing right now in China, and what the Chinese are doing here. This woman is Chinese American. I wouldn't even call her Chinese American. She's a Chinese communist. She's going to use her traffic court. She's the chief judge for the municipal court for Las Vegas, so she's liable for this, and she's the one that's hearing the case. Now, what is a traffic court doing ordering psychological evaluations on people? Are you kidding me? After Chris has gone through psych-eval after psych-eval and trying to comply with the orders from the court, every time it's proven that there's nothing wrong with this man. And an email gets sent to the court saying, oh, we have concerns about Chris's state of mind. Is that what we've sent? That's a new low. So anybody can send an email to the witch's court and say, I don't like the mental state of John Doe or Eric Jones or Daniel Leach or Chris Cave. It can happen to any one of you out there listening.
Or Donald Trump.
Right, and we can make a case that he's got a screw loose because look what's happening. We don't have any improvement in the situation. I mean, really, where the rubber meets the road. I mean, do we need to get into Donald Trump? Every globalist pig, corporate whore, and police state slut that he can find to surround himself with, and he does. And then says, oh, it's not my fault. It's the people I surrounded myself with. Yeah, it is your fault, bro. If you're going to surround yourself with globalist pigs, you're going to you're liable. He's the one that it's called. Now he's doing this intentionally. Because if he surrounds himself with all these globalists and these neocon warmongers and war pigs, and he could just say, "Oh, it's not me, it's them." Well, you hired him, dude. What do you mean it's not you? It's called culpable deniability. He sets himself up with a ring of scum all around him, and then says, "Oh, it's their fault." Well, who did the hiring, Mr. Donald Trump? So we could save that for another broadcast. Tonight is Chris's night, and we need as many people to call on Chris's behalf as possible. I was not able to get the emails, so I'm going to ask Heidi if she's on her computer right now to maybe scare up some email addresses for the people that I asked her to check on before. That would be Cynthia Leung, Leung, who's the judge. We have the mayor of Sin City, Carolyn Goodman. She's liable for all this. She's the one who appoints the chief of police. He works directly for her. And these are the guys who are dragging Chris into court. They're going to come get him if he doesn't show up on Wednesday. She's liable for all this, Carolyn Goodman. How about the prosecuting attorney, or should we call him the prostitution attorney? Dave Wolfson, Wolfson. His very name describes him as the son of a wolf, Wolfson. And don't forget our good friend, the Archbishop, Salvatore Sonny Corleone. No joke. His name is Salvatore Corleone, Cordileone. He's the Archbishop of San Francisco, which claims ownership of the Las Vegas, Nevada. He's the Archbishop over that whole western area. And you want to hear a good one, people? Oh, I can hear all you people out there go, what do you mean the Archbishop? What do you mean the Archbishop runs everything or something? Well, they claim they do. Listen to this one from their own website. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Las Vegas is an ecclesiastical territory or diocese in the Roman Catholic Church in the southern Nevada region of the United States. Bingo. That sounds like they're claiming ownership to me. All right, and if it doesn't sound like that to you, you have a discernment problem, people. Wake up. With that, I want to welcome Dave Pruitt. Dave, can you, from Pruitt'sTreeResin.com, I highly recommend people go there. He's not just a fantastic guy, and his dad, Matthew. They sell phenomenal skin products. Ancient tree resin is like one of the world's miracle healers. And it's all natural, and it's very powerful. It's been used for thousands of years. This business has been in his family for 4 generations. And with that, I'd like to welcome Dave from Pruitt'sTreeResin.com. Dave, can you just give a brief testimonial on behalf of Chris?
Well, I've known Chris for years and years now, and I've never known Chris to be insane. I've never known him to be challenged, intellectually challenged especially. Claiming that he's incompetent or needs his competence to be tested, I would believe I would believe that it would be suspect at the very least. Just you sit down and you spend 4 or 5 hours talking to Chris, and he's a very intelligent man. Yes, he may use some words that most people don't know, but just because you don't know something doesn't mean that you can't go pick up a dictionary. You can't go learn about it. The fact that he knows more than the judge probably pisses off the judge, I'm pretty sure, And, Chris has been fighting evil, and he's been fighting Las Vegas. Gordon Martinez was a really good friend of ours. He just passed away not more than a month ago, I guess, or so. And
About that.
Yeah. Gordon Martinez he talked at length about the corruption within Las Vegas Metro and the judicial system and all that. And you know what's amazing? No one else seems to care, but like Chris and myself and some other people who have stood up to them. And it's like Chris is on the front lines dealing with the evil that is Las Vegas, Nevada, but they always forget to read NRS 1.030 that requires common law to be the determining factor in all court cases. But with that, I'll let everyone else get their words in,
Thank you, David. And now we're going to turn it over to Chris. Chris, speak on your own behalf. You just go ahead and just let our people know what you do and, who you are and what you've been through, and we're trying to keep you on the outside.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate the kind words from yourself and from Dave and everybody that's on the call. I mean, these are people that love America. They love our traditions here, our Americanism, our mom, apple pie, baseball, football, and other things of that nature, stock car racing and hockey and whatever else we like to do in America. We love our barbecues on the 4th of July. We love to celebrate and what we think is Old Glory and different things of this nature. Myself, I love America. I've been a former multi-jurisdictional law enforcement professional who has protected and served America and tried to be a good public servant and guard, protect, and defend those who are unable to defend themselves against being preyed upon by predators who would take unfair, extreme advantage of them and loot, plunder, rob, raid, pillage. And when government becomes a lawbreaker, it destroys the very faith in the justice system. In fact, we're taught when we read the words of the wise founders that the final signs of the death throes of a republic is a failing judiciary. And when the judiciary becomes absolutely corrupt, as they've become here in America, it shakes the foundations of the public's trust in the so-called judicial system. And when it has, in fact, been weaponized against we the people, as I observe that it has, it's a very dangerous time for patriots and truth and liberty lovers here in America. We've seen multiple patriots and just common people that are the salt of this earth, that are what America is built by and built on. Maybe they're not sophisticated and studied in law, but they love this country. They know the fundamental law that, first of all, is do no harm. That used to be the Hippocratic Oath. It doesn't seem to be anymore. We know the maxim of law. You can't break the law to enforce the law, yet they do so day in and day out. I read things like Constitutional Chaos by Napolitano, Personal Freedom by Jerry Spence. There's one by Alan Dershowitz that says that even the most loathsome, worthless, despicable human being deserves to have competent assistance of counsel, although I think he calls it representation. Although in my studied learning, I've learned that representation is representing your interest in somebody else's interest. And I've learned that when you take an attorney, you're testifying to your incompetency. That's why you can't speak for yourself, except in rare occasions when you have a barred licensed attorney representing you, because of your self-declaring your incompetency by hiring the attorney. This is why in fact, it's very curious, they haven't even offered me assistance or counsel in this so-called criminal traffic court. Of course, I would point out that this is, in fact, a victimless crime, other than myself, because there was no body or property injury in this whatsoever. It was a fictitious emergency traffic infraction stop, under the pretext that I had knowingly, willfully, intentionally evaded a lawful traffic control device, which is absolutely preposterous, absurd, and has no basis in reality other than the skewed view of the officer who, as when your carpenter only has a hammer, everything looks like a nail. When you're an officer, everything looks like a traffic violation when they're generating revenue for the city, or revenue more accurately, because revenue is actually revenue where they change it from your pocket to their pocket. And their extortionate, predatory theft schemes in the guise of protecting and serving the customer services of the public, that they go out there and claim that they're helping you by taking your money and giving it to the city's or county's coffers. And this place here has become very, very predatory on the people that come here. You might think that when you look online, you can find a really great deal for inexpensive stay in Las Vegas over the weekend and come here and indulge in some of the food and gaming options and entertainment values that they have here. But when you look online, you find that $20 or $19.95 or $29.95 opulent room special. You don't know that the county has now put what they call a resort corridor tax on everything out to Boulder City and up to Mesquite and everywhere else, that over doubles the price that's advertised of the room, and the guys that, and I really think that they're converting it to their own interest, because they're obviously not taking any of the monies they get under highway usury funds from the gasoline sales to fix the roads. They're not fixing the roads, so the money's obviously going somewhere so they can cry poor mouth and claim they need more money to fix the roads, Well, they're getting a ton of money. The gas prices here are about double what they are in the lesser priced areas of the country. I think I bought gas for $2.62 last night, and I heard somebody down in Texas telling us that gas down there is like $1.40 or $50 a gallon. So there's a tremendous amount of tax that they get from gasoline sales for the road taxes, the highway user funds, they call it. I do quite a lot of private advocacy pro bono. I don't charge anyone. And I do a pretty effective job of litigating and assisting the attorneys in litigation. In fact, 2 weeks ago, I was down at the Clark County Justice Center, which has multiple different jurisdictions in there, which makes it very convenient because up on their 12th floor, they've got private meeting rooms where the city, the county, the municipalities, and all their judges and prosecutor team can all get together and plot against we the people. And they do so quite frequently. Also, I actually worked on that building for ALF Construction, which was a really, they got sued for malfeasance and failure to perform up to standards. Somebody's relatives obviously got a kickback from that deal. But I was on that job as an electrician, a union electrician, and I watched that place being built. I worked in these courtrooms, and I know how they're laid out. So when I was in the court and I saw the judge take a recess before they called my case as the last case on the docket, which is docket stacking or manipulating the docket to their own predatory advantage to deprive you of due process, American due process of law, by having all the other cases cleared out so there aren't so many eyes viewing to see what's going on in there and how they're going to treat you. And, you know, I always go courtroom prepped and properly dressed with a, you know, a jacket and slacks and a tie and look as best I can at my old age of 67, getting close to 68. But I'm still pretty articulate and I have a moderate amount of expertise in the courts because I've been there a lot courtroom watching and documenting the defects in the processes, the judicial intervention in the cases, which is really a tag team prosecution with the judge helping the prosecutor to the disadvantage of the whoever's being drugged before the court. Even when you hire an attorney to represent you, what we're not taught is that the bar, the attorneys, is really a private association. It's a warring force that's there to destroy us by any means or schemes they deem to be necessary, proper, or lustfully satisfying. You can find that in Corpus Juris Secundum, the second body of the law, number 7, volume 7. 7's a very special number in some cult associations around the world that they call religions versus religion. That's with an E versus an I. And so whenever I saw the judge take a 30-minute recess before they called the case that they have trying to fake case on me, and Mr. Steve Rennie, the assistant deputy prosecutor for the city, under Mr. Brad Jerbick, the chief county prosecutor, who I know they all meet frequently with Steve Wolfson. He's the county chief district attorney that was appointed by the Clark County Commission when Steve Sisolak, now the mayor, was the head of the county commission before he was so-called elected, although I have strong suspicions and good and plenty of reasons to question the validity of the so-called election, which vote tampering is very, very common. And here in the West Coast and the Hillary Clinton rich supporting union areas and Barney areas, because of the socialist communist ties that are proliferating around this immense amount of wealth and money in this particular area. Mr. Rennie took, maybe 5 to 10 minutes after she had left the bench, he went down the same set of doors in the back where the judge's office is so they could meet ex parte in camera, in secret in the judge's chambers is what in camera means. And thereby they could plan their strategy of how they were going to come out and try to provoke me, insult my intellect, bully me, and try to arouse my ire and get me to react to them in a hopefully violent way or an incompetent way. And I maintained, generally, it was frustrating to me because I knew what was going on the whole time. And when you know what they're doing to you, it can be disenchanting, it can be aggravating, but you have to maintain your composure at all times and know where you're at and what you're there. And there's guys with guns and tasers, and they use them liberally. And in fact, even Marcus Mumford was tased for being too effective an offender up in Oregon in Anna Brown's court in the Bundy trial on the dismissal up there when they turned him loose, and he was wanting the marshals in the court to be forced to produce where they had the authority to keep them in custody to transfer them down to Las Vegas without any paperwork. And for that, they gang tackled him, tased him a couple of times, and discouraged him being an effective litigator and zealous defender of his clients. And so these are things that we see day in and day out with the corruption of the judicial system. And, of course, these useful people that they use in these acting roles, posing as marshals for the courts or court security guards or whatever else, they are truly private foreign corporate mercenaries because the sheriff in the area or the police chief have all signed agreements to sign over their ultimate power and authority, and they keep their positions at the pleasure of the county commission or the city council or whatever the ruling entity body is in your local corporate jurisdiction. And in the language in those contracts you'll most frequently find is subject to the power of the county commission or the city council. In fact, I was looking on the website, and I may still have it here for Clark, for the city of Las Vegas. I certainly know the one for Clark County already. And you see that right off the mayor of the city council, Carolyn Goodman, there's a direct line over and to the left for the judiciary, the municipal court system. Well, the muni, or more accurately, money court scheme, they spell it M-U-N-I, is supposedly as a shortened version of the municipal, whatever that is, jurisdiction. And I can guarantee it's a foreign jurisdiction. And then they have even other more complicated systems they call specialty competency courts. And when you see the word special, look out, bend over, because somebody's going to take it up the posterior, probably without Vaseline, because that is obviously some foreign special legal court that may not be lawful at all under American law, and more likely it's under foreign law. And when you have one judge deciding on what evidence, what witnesses, what law applies, and who can give testimony or not give testimony, that is the very definition of a tyrant. In fact, Ralph Winterraud will tell you that's a cruel trilemma, but I think that's actually, when we hear the word trilemma, I had to do some discernment on my own to deconstruct that. And we know a dilemma is a trouble, a Hegelian dialectic, a choice between two different apparent choices, which may lead to the same conclusion, to your disability or your extreme harm. And a trilemma, I think, comes from the case that the prosecuting attorney, the defense attorney, and the court itself, the officers of the court, are all working together to destroy you by any means or schemes that they can concoct. And you'll find that under Officers of the Court in Corpus Juris Secundum, Volume 7, Officers of the Court, and you'll find in that book, that's the second body of the law, Corpus Juris Secundum, that officers of the court are oath one to the bar, could be the British Accreditation Registry, it could be the Barcon's Accreditation Registry, maybe there's some other thing. Barcon's, I think, is pretty close to it. And the Archons were the speakers for the king, dictator, potentate, the emperor, the caliph, or whatever other title the local dictator wants to moniker himself with. Well, there's other things, and whenever you look in that same Corpus Juris Secundum, you might want to look up the definition for attorney fees. And you'll find that any monies you tender to an attorney are considered by them to be a donation, gift, contribution, homage, or tribute they call it, and therefore there's no expectation of performance or guarantees of production or defense implied or expected, because they consider that you have donated that money because you're an incompetent, not sophisticated, or not intellectually law-informed victim. In fact, there was a production on TV, I don't know if it's still playing because I don't watch television much anymore, and you receive the propaganda, indoctrination, and programming of the fake news systems and other deviancy that's pumped out through television and holy hoax would. However, that particular bull segment, the first episode, I happened to catch back when I was still in TV land, and they said the first rule is the client is the enemy. Well, that's close to correct. Actually, the client, the one who clearly lies, at least that's what they presume, is the victim. And of course, their objective is to get the money by any schemes or means they deem to be necessary or useful. This is the unfortunate truth of the legal system, and part of the reason that I am a strongly laser-targeted with specificity man, because of my advocacy, activism, and searching for honest justice systems here in America, as opposed to the just us systems of the bar, who have completely taken complete control of the whole complete criminal justice system. And you can find that if you can locate a district court judge's manual. You will find that there's an application for the bar required before you can apply to be a Chief Justice on the Supreme Court or a judge in the Federal Circuit Courts of Appeals. This is a very, very dangerous time for America, because the tyranny of the judiciary is rearing its ugly head in certain pockets, particularly in the western half of the United States, and that San Francisco court and the whole California court system of the federal courts, and even edging here into the associated collateral connected states of Nevada and Arizona and Idaho and Oregon and Utah. Well, Utah is a little separated. But those are all connected to California geophysically through coterminant borders with those particular states. And that same communist, Talmudic, Zionist, Roman Catholic influence permeates like a cancer throughout all the associated states. And because of this corruption of the political activist Saul Alinskyite communitarian judiciary actors, it's a very dangerous time for America, and even Trump is finding himself exposed to dangers, because he, for the first time, was not a barred licensed attorney esquire, titles of nobility act. He, in fact, was very savvy in law, as observed by some of his so-called counsel. But even he was preyed upon by his attorney Cohen, going back several generations in his family. This one apparently rolled over like a female puppy in heat and became an ally of the prosecution hit team of Mueller, which is and his henchman, Andrew Weissman, who is a very prolific, well-known, they call him a bulldog, or more accurately, he's an attorney hitman, a fixer, one who uses the legal system as a weapon and tries to frame the blame on other innocent victims, much like they're trying to do with me. Because this is a victimless traffic stop under the pretext of an emergency, when there was no emergency, in fact, I know my rights, my natural rights, and the ones that are enumerated in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the Magna Carta, and the Unanimous Proclamation, and the Bill of Attainder, the Bill of List of Harms, that the reason in the preamble of the Constitution where they were enumerating the violations and the atrocities of the king against the Americans here. And the same things we're seeing going on today here in America are vexing us like a cancer here in America. The case in the Ninth Circuit SCE versus Seattle, Washington is the state in the Ninth Circuit, says no victim, no crime. The doctrine of corpus delicti says you must have an injured body, that's the corpus, in order to have a crime, or at least injury to property, to have a property crime. And this is one of the sticking points that they appear to be failing on materially that I have in my affidavits, not motions. I put it in my court. In fact, I'm going to put in some paperwork tomorrow to correct some fatal errors they put on what they call a judgment. Most places they call it a docket. Some places they call it the court record. Of course, it's a commercial business record in these private for private profits corporate courts. And I'm going to, they put some false information there claiming that I put in motions. I never motioned anything. All I have done is specially attended to BNES, not granting. That's D-E-B-E-N-N-E-E-S-S-E, DBNES. It's a French term. And it means without granting jurisdiction. In fact, I've articulated that I'm not ceding jurisdiction, but specifically challenging the in personam jurisdiction on the record of the court squarely and demanding to have it proven on the record of the court. Now, the court has tried to claim its own jurisdiction in the subject matter, and they may possess some of that because it was in the lex locus, the local area of where it was the alleged violation took place. However, because of my special political status pursuant to Vattel's Law of Nations, setting forth that we all have not only a right, but in fact a duty to declare our political status to all the people in the world to set ourselves apart. And in particular, if you look at the Department of State Manual, Form 11, on the Government Printing Office's Office of Managing Budget Forms, called the DSM-11, that's the Immigration and Passport Form. Immigration Passport Act is Title 8 U.S.C. 1101 of the Immigration Naturalization Act. And when you look there at 8 U.S.C. 1101, parenthetical small a, parenthetical 22, parenthetical b, they will sometimes say parens to abbreviate parenthetical, enclosed letters that are the string of a letter character identifiers that set these different segments and meanings on. And when it says means, it means to the exclusive of all other meanings that might be applied, and they can say that black means white, or love means war, or hate, or whatever else they want to declare means in the definitions section, and they always have a definitions section right up the front in all these citations. Well, in this one, the Immigration and Naturalization Act, which I have read, and in particular to further to identify what powers it grants to the POTUS as his responsibility as the Commander-in-Chief and the Chief Executive, the Chief Law Enforcement Official who's supposed to guard and protect and defend the Republic against all enemies, foreign and domestic, which he's tried to do. Say again?
I'm kind of laughing at that premise that he's the great grand protector of all of our rights and liberties. Yeah, right, sure. Boy, you're more generous than I am, Chris. Trump is part of the problem, not the solution, or else you wouldn't be going through what you're going through right now. We were supposed to have somebody in there who was going to stir it up, make some changes, and quote-unquote give us our freedom back, bring back the republic. You know, but see, he never uses the word freedom. He always says, we're going to make America great again. Like an empire warmongering, blitzkrieging around the world. We're going to make America strong again. That means get NATO and us and everybody else to dump more money into Lockheed Martin and Raytheon and the military-industrial complex. And of course, for your safety and security, we're going to make America safe again. All that means more police state and more witches court, dragging people like Chris in for psychiatric evaluations to the traffic court, of all things. This one's blowing my mind.
Well, in my defense, I think I did pre-qualify that with condition precedent quantifier that he's supposed to, and the card protected defense.
I was laughing, right?
Well, but yes, we know what he's supposed to do, and we know he's not doing everything he's supposed to do. He might be doing better than Hillary, but I ain't saying much. He's just in a slower path to the same place.
Here's the problem. We've all been sucked into this thing. And I've talked to some people who are very high, powerful people in the government, and they do it's better than Hillary. Let's get away from this lesser of two evils concept right now.
Yeah, the false paradigm of the false choice. That's the Hegelian dualectic.
Yep.
Well, anyway, so I can expand on this stuff, but there's some other more important things that I need to point out to the listeners of some trends I've observed in the courts that operate in my circumstance and likely in some of yours. And in particular, I was advocating and providing some counsel to my friend Lynn Benson and their family and the family courts and in the courts here. And I was in a court proceeding here 2 weeks ago. And this is really important because I want the people to be appraised of this because it's critical that you understand how this operates. I had been in their courtroom watching. In there as a defense witness, I had contacted her supposed pretender defender who is working in cahoots with the prosecution, Jason Gunnell from the state of Nevada and probably the Joint Terrorism Task Force, to try to claim the blame on these people. And they were offering her a pretrial settlement agreement to plead guilty to something and receive time served and be released. This is how devious and nefarious, untruthful, and failure to provide honest services. There's a case that just occurred over in Eric's neck of the woods in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, that had to do with an attorney being disbarred because of preying on a senior woman and stealing from her trust fund, and then also collusion with I think Bobby Henson was his name. I'm not sure of the name up there. That's not my area of the world. But he was a city councilman, and they were doing kickback schemes. He was also with the head of the union there in the town, of the electrician unions 98, which violated their fiduciary role. They were stealing from the members' trust funds and other things like that. And the U.S. assistant attorney for the Pennsylvania and the Philadelphia area brought the case, and they indicted this attorney for fraud, for failure to provide honest services, conspiracy to deprive, racketeering, other charges, much like's going on here in Las Vegas. And this is what happens when you've got people who actually know the law. And you can't go to the Department of Justice because it's just about as corrupt in this administration as it was in the Obama administration. They keep bringing in new swamp things to fill these auspicious roles under the guise that they're going to be the great savior of freedom and liberty and protectorate of the law in America. And they bring in Matthew Whitaker and now Barr, supposedly, and he was a Bush appointee, one of the ones involved with Ruby Ridge and killing Randy Weaver's wife and his son and the dog and so on and so forth.
You want to hear a good one?
Go ahead.
His name's not William Barr. It's Guillermo Barrios.
Oh,
yeah. Well, you should wait till you hear the woman we're going to have on in the very near future who comes from an Illuminati family that knows all of these people personally, including one of her family members named Mabel, who was sleeping with Governor Andrew Cuomo when Cuomo was 30 and this girl was about 14. Guillermo Barrios, masquerading as William Barr, did the good Masonic name change thing, like Barry Soetoro changed his name to Barack Obama, like President Leslie Kean changed his name to President Gerald Ford, like Caesar Octavian changed his name to Augustus, which is where we got the name for the month of August. Wake up, people! Yeah, the rabbit hole goes very deep.
Or that G.H.W. Bush was formerly Georgie Schraff, and George Soros is actually Georgie Schwartz. Name changing thing. Go ahead.
And apparently Donald Trump's name is really Drumpf, D-R-U-M-F. It's a German name that they changed to Trump from Drumpf. to Trump. He's not even using his real name. So people, this whole thing, anybody who is allowed to be president is working for the enemy. Until the people really rise up and demand, like Ron Paul. Ron Paul would have been a decent man, the best we could have done, I think, to get into the executive office. He got completely defrauded, and so he wasn't allowed. He was moved out, and he moved himself out to his own fault. He was stepping aside long before he should have to let the system, have a smooth path into another Republican false choice to the Democrat lesser of two evils sham.
Well, I'll give you a tidbit more. Then I think we probably should give out the phone numbers that people, if they wish, they could give a call and speak politely and cordially and request that they dismiss this crap, because I didn't intentionally violate anything. And intent is a fundamental element of any crime, and there's no victim in this crime other than me. And the officer got to be really authoritarian, bullying, and tyrannical with me, to the point that I asked for supervisor several times. I was under extreme amount of horrific pain that day. I had come from a chiropractor's office and let somebody else play through, and I got a bad adjustment. And, if any of you have been to the chiropractor, if they're telegraphing what they're going to do, sometimes you have a tendency to tighten up, and when they hurt on you and it strains something and actually causes pain, it can be pretty distracting, and that's kind of the way I was that day. And I think the patrol unit was actually waiting for me to come out of there, and I had looked at it and dismissed it and knew I had got that fraudulent felony before. That was back from December 20th, false arrest at the FBI from the November 10th of 2016 incident. That was December 20th, 2016, when the FBI gaslighted me under the guise, the false lie that they were going to investigate crimes against me by the county. And as soon as I arrived, they arrested me. And I told them they were making a fatal mistake. They did not know the totality of circumstances. And pursuant to Bivens versus 6 unknown federal narcotics agents, Title 14 U.S.C. 1983 and Title 18 U.S.C. 1964 parenthetical C, RICO, which is a civil rights action for fraud for RICO, racketeering influence corporations, except for the fact when criminality occurs, the court has the judicial discretion, a very dangerous concept, to invoke the criminal penalties also whenever the breaking of the law, like in my case, Title 18 U.S.C. 1117, conspiracy to commit murder by egregious abuse of mass deadly force twice on me, 10 November 2016 at my home when they stole my 1957 Dodge D500 $50,000 Hemi for a $500 sham legal fictitious specialty assessment lien for $500 to try to provoke the violence, but it didn't work. And so then on the 8th June, that made them all culpable, liable, and suitable. And in fact, I'm in contact with the Justice Department relative to complaints against the two bad faith, malicious, political terrorist FBI special agents and their accomplice, the imposter FBI agent and so-called fatal defective Metro Detective Kenneth Meade and some of his associates with the Southern Nevada Joint Terrorism, DHS, FBI, DOJ, and other local agencies and hotel security forces task force and the Fusion Center's threat assessment. I don't want to go into this, but I do have done a lot of studying and knowledge about how to remove oneself from the terror threat list, which I am on as Hot 10 TW8, which I observed that 8th of June, right after they tried to murder me, and I was in the backseat of the car with handcuffs, arrested, and the supervisor for Kenneth Meade and his terrorism task force came up and tried to question me without Mirandizing me. That's a kind of a fatal error. That little due process of law stuff is kind of inconvenient, but that's a pretty big failing there on his part. And he's supposed to be a supervisor. Well, if these people don't know the law, how can they enforce the law? And, I'm just an old guy, but I still remember what the law is here in America. I'm pretty articulate in it for a non-bar attorney. But there are some specific things that you can find on the Department of State the Secretary of State's website, Department of State's website, having to do with what's called a DHS trip complaint, and that's what you put into the FBI or the agency if you know which agency. Even got one if you don't know what agency to call. They'll tell you which agency you need to go to. But there are like 33 or so different agencies that you could potentially be listed as a terrorist with by any left-wing nut out there that either doesn't like the way you talk. Maybe you're gay, they don't like gays. Maybe you're ugly, they don't like uglies. Maybe you're male, they like females, or they hit on you and you didn't cooperate with them, or any other pretextual reason. They can put in a terror threat assessment because there's 16 different qualifiers that they can choose from, and they can use one or all of them. So they're very vague and ambiguous, but if you can be studying law and they can put you in claiming you're trying to take over the government because you're studying law as opposed to trying to restore lawful government versus the criminal government we have now, something is way wrong with this system, and they have financial incentives for putting people on there. In other words, they get bonuses, free time, holidays, special gifts, and other quid pro quo for listing people on the list. So the list has grown exponentially, as one would reasonably expect it would, under the Cloward and Cliven model and the Saul Alinsky model of claiming the blame on your victims, or if the girl wouldn't give you her phone number and she was a hottie, or they griped about you groping them at the TSA checkpoint, or anything else, they can put in a special, it's called a SAR, a suspicious activity report, and that might get you on the terror watch list.
Sure, we had nepotism. We had a local town government official, I believe it was the town supervisor in a town right next to where I am, go to the head of this is the town supervisor, goes to the head of the highway department and says, I want you to hire my nephew for a job. Now, and the head of the highway department said, well, I would, but your nephew's a drunk and he's a loser, and he's not going to fit in with he's not going to. No, I'm not going to do it. And that started a feud like the Hatfields and the McCoys, with one half of the town government fighting with the other half of the town government. And it's an amazing story, which we're going to get into in another broadcast. But and many people in the town are siding with the good guys in the good part of the government, and it's a real microcosm of the overall picture of what's going on in this country, in this world. And it's kind of a really good, almost a happy ending, although it's not over yet. But it looks like, due to a lot of larceny and theft and overbilling for hours that weren't worked, that the bad half of the government is going down. And if I'm not mistaken, the supervisor in question has just recently resigned. So we're right in the middle of a giant, local feud here between good cop, bad cop, so to speak. I mean, the troopers had to come to the meetings. They got so heated, because things were about to get out of hand. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, let me extol Courtroom Watch observers and Lori and some of the others and Dave from Dave and the Thumb that came to my aid whenever I was locked up, and some of the great investigatory due diligent forensic research they did that exposed that, first and foremost, Steve Sisolak's daughter, Ashley Sisolak, who got a cherry plum job with the collusion between Steve Sisolak and the chief county district attorney, Steve Wolfson, who is in charge of all the county's prosecution teams, and maybe in cahoots at least with all the judges in their co-prosecution tag team, hired Ashley Sisolak as a pro bono public defender under one of his deputy district attorneys that give him a protectional air of separation when he's absolutely in charge of all these different divisions. He is the master general that operates all these.
Yeah, that one, when you told me that originally, that was absolutely precious. Now, just because I know people get confused on all the names, the Steve Sisolak character is the county commissioner, and he's appointing his daughter as the pro bono attorney to defend people like Chris. So while
even more important,
you want to talk about both teams, it's like this. Playing both sides. He's running the prosecution and the persecution of Chris,
and the defense.
sending the daughter in on the white horse to come save the day and pretend like she's going to defend Chris.
Oh,
yeah,
but
right,
she was really protecting her father, Steve Sisolak, who's now the governor, criminal governor of the state. Well, not only that, let's cover the other angle that we uncovered in this investigation. Steve Wolfson, the chief county DA, remember the people who sent me up to the Lakes Crossing Center under the Specialty Competency Court, his wife, Jackie Wolfson Glass, of the Wolfson Glass Law Firm at 7th and Bonfil here in Las Vegas, was the chief of the 8th Circuit District Competency Court who ordered Nancy Becker to come in as a hit judge to violently attack me with a gang of 6 and felony criminal abduct me and take me hostage, political terrorism hostage, up to the Lakes Crossing Center.
Yeah,
and
8 hours on a jet plane. Hey, they must have really been scared of you, and they obviously are because they keep coming after you. They flew Chris. They flew Chris on a jet plane 8 hours away, but it was an 8-hour airplane flight.
It was actually a prop plane. It wasn't a jet, but that's okay.
8 hours from his home, and so the long and short is this. And while we're on all the name thing, let's get right to the numbers. But the enemy is playing both sides. They have both the court and the defense attorneys. They have both the court and the public defenders. They have all the police defenders, and they have both political parties. So anybody who thinks that the Republicans are going to save you from the Democrats or the Democrats are going to save you from the Republicans is either really stupid or they're working for the enemy. And with that, I'm going to get right into the phone numbers. Because
one thing before you do that, remember the bar has all separated powers of government under their umbrella of private association authority, and therefore they have egregiously violated the separation of powers doctrine, just like Steve Wolfson and his wife did, assimilating the executive and the judiciary. Not to mention, now you've got the other executive office, the judiciary, and the prosecution. They're all embedded together. It's all a big nepotistic cesspool of incest and
inbred government hillbillies.
Yes. Give those numbers out. Thank you very, very much for your advocacy. And if you found me to be insane, don't call. But if you think that I may have a bit of a knowledge of what's going on and somewhat articulate and calm, cool, and collected and presenting it pretty clearly and extemporaneously, I don't have a script I'm reading off of. This comes out of my demented mind.
Let me just touch on that, and then I'll give some numbers out. Fantastic presentation. You are obviously someone who a corrupt government would be very afraid of. And with that, I'm going to give here's Chinese Communist Judge Cynthia Leung, L-E-U-N-G. That's Cynthia Leung, L-E-U-N-G. This is a Chinese.
She might be a U.S. citizen.
This is a Chinese communist judge who wears the black robe of a Luciferian. She obviously has not adapted or even can conceptually get her mind around the concept of freedom and due process. She is using her position as the chief of the municipal traffic court to put Chris into another psychiatric hospital, and we cannot let this happen. So I'm urging people who enjoy Chris's presentation, who have learned something from Chris. I can't tell you, the list is longer than my arm of people who owe Chris a favor. And
nobody owes me anything. I do this as a service to the Creator.
No, I know you're modest, but I'm saying it. You don't have to. So let me get the numbers out here. Cynthia Leung, 702-229-4673. That's 702-229-4673. Once again, 702. That's Vegas. 229-4673. And it's Cynthia Leung, L-E-U-N-G. I do not have her email address handy, so if Daniel, if anybody has her email address.
Right here.
Okay. Yep.
CLV contact me, that's City of Las Vegas, contact me at lasvegasnevada.gov.
One more time. One
That's
more time.
CLV.
Yep.
Charlie Lincoln Victor. Charlie Ocean Nora. Tom Adam Charlie. Tom Mary Charlie at Las Vegas, Nevada.gov. That City of Las Vegas can also be Cynthia S. Well, I guess it couldn't be Cynthia S. Long, could it?
Daniel, can you post that email up along with what I sent you as well as the phone number? And the phone number again, people, is 702-229-4673. This is truly Chinese communism come to roost on our home turf. And it's playing itself out on Chris, our great friend, our great patriot, gentleman, scholar, orator, historian, and great help and advocate for people who are in need. Everybody go on mute. We got background noise. Mute, 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 mute. Okay. Okay. Who's ever got the background noise, got to mute yourself.
It's a toilet flushing.
Oh, Chris, okay, go on mute for a minute, would you? Okay. Here we go. Hey, Chris, can you mute yourself for a minute? I want to get these numbers out.
I was muted. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, we got some noise from somewhere else. Daniel, Dave Pruitt, anybody on the line right now, we need you to mute yourself because I want to give these numbers out without any interference. Okay, so here we go. We've given out Cynthia Lung's number, 702-229-4673. See, she is the Chinese communist Luciferian judge, supposed judge, pretending that she has jurisdiction over Chris's mind. All right, and Chris is probably is smarter than 100 Cynthia Lungs put together. I guarantee it. Okay, so we also want to call the mayor of Sin City, Las Vegas. This is the one who presides over all the sin, appoints the police chief, runs the show. Well, we know the Archbishop runs the show, but she's the lackey. She's kind of the plantation boss for Las Vegas, Nevada. Her name is Mayor Caroline Goodman. Caroline Goodman. 702-229-6241. And don't come in right now because I'm still giving numbers out, but if somebody can scare up her email, hold tight, and I'll get to you in a second. Carolyn Goodman, 702-229-6241. Why are we giving these numbers out? To save Chris's life. No joke. Mayor Carolyn Goodman is 702-229-6241. 702-229-6241. Now the DA for the county, and this is the guy who's kind of the chief, the big cheese. We go right to the top. We're not going to jerk around calling the hospital and asking them to let somebody out, or calling the warden of the prison and asking them to let somebody out, or calling, the sergeant on the police force and asking him to do the right thing. These are low-level, lackey, bootlicking fools, and they don't have any power to make any decision or let anybody out or approve any paperwork or any of that stuff. We bypass them. We go right to the top people, all right? That's why we gave out the judge who's hearing this case also happens to be the chief judge for the municipal court. That's Cynthia Lung, the Chinese communist Luciferian judge. The mayor is Carolyn Goodman, and the district attorney over the other DAs is named Gabe Wolfson. W-O-L-F, as in Frank, S-O-N, Wolfson. Could he
Let me ask you a question about that, Eric.
Go ahead.
Now, what did you say he was?
Well, apparently he's the Clark County District Attorney, and I believe he's going to be the DA that the other DAs answer to. Okay, so
your point is well taken because he is the chief corporation. The city is the subcorp of the county. The county is a subcorp of the state. The state is a subcorp of Corp US Inc. You're correct.
Okay, so in the corporate hierarchy, and all our governments are corporations now. They're all listed. I didn't believe it until someone told me this. I looked it up for the area that I live in, Monroe County, or that I used to live in, Monroe County, New York. Monroe County Sheriff's Department under Patrick O'Flynn. I looked it up, and there it is on Manta. Incorporated in 1980-something, and the letters of details of the letters of incorporation are unknown. Oh, great. So that's all a big secret, but I can assure you. according to Manta, they are incorporated, and so is every other police department, sheriff's department, court, town, municipality. Your states are incorporated. The federal government's incorporated, and I thought it very interesting that under the, what was it called, the Act,
Fascism.
no, the Act to Reorganize Government in the State of New York, 1925, and look that up. Yeah, well, what it did was it very clearly set up a parallel government, legally I'm speaking, not with new people, but a parallel structure as an incorporation, and then appointed the governor as the CEO of that corporation. So the pedophile Andrew Cuomo, who slept with 14-year-old girls when he was 30, he's not the governor of New York. Oh, he calls himself the governor. He's the CEO of New York Inc. That means incorporated. So now let me get the numbers out here. Dave Wolfson, son of a wolf. Boy, you couldn't.
Now wait a minute. Let me share something with you. It's actually Steve Wolfson, not Dave Wolfson. And
okay. Are we sure? Are you sure his first name is Steve?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Wolfson. Okay, I have Dave written down. I could have written that. I probably heard that wrong when my researcher friend gave me that information over the phone. So I'm going to go with what Chris says. He's sure the name is Steve Wolfson. My bad. Okay, we get things wrong, we correct ourselves. Then we want other people out there to also correct us. If we have our phone number that's wrong or a name misspelled, people help us out. We can't, we're not, what do you think was going on here? We're not perfect. We're all sinners. We're all imperfect. We all make mistakes. So I'm asking for help from all our people out there. Do your own research.
Check each other.
Yeah, work as one, but confirm on an individual basis all these details we're giving you. So we do the best we can with what we got. We're going to say Steve Wolfson, son of a wolf, Mr. Steve. His number is, this is the district attorney, this is the prosecuting attorney, this is the prostitution attorney. Mr. Wolfson's son of a wolf's number is 702-671-2500. I'll say that a couple more times. This is Mr. Wolfson, Wolfson. Boy, you couldn't find a name that's more appropriately applied to a person who is acting like a wolf and a predator and destroying Chris's life, or at least trying to. We're not going to let that happen, though. So Mr. Wolfson's number is 702-671-2500. That's, and Chris, dig up his email if you can, 702-671-2500. 702-671-2500. And I would like Chris or somebody on the line, if they can, maybe Dave Pruitt can dig up the email for the mayor, Carolyn Goodman, and the DA, Steve Wolfson. So I'd like to give that out before the night's over. If we fail to do that, we'll try to get it posted at least up on our website at courtroomwatch.com. And there's a description of Chris's case. Now, I don't want to leave out our good friend, the Archbishop, Mr. Salvatore Cordileone. That is his real name. It's right.
He's a great name to pass up.
So if anybody's seen the movie The Godfather, they know the main character was Vito Corleone. This guy,
Don Corleone.
Don Corleone, and the Archbishop of San Francisco, which is over the Bishop of, well, I'm not even giving out the Bishop of, his name's George Thomas, the Bishop of Las Vegas. We're going to his boss, the Archbishop of San Francisco, which oversees the city of Las Vegas and many others in that area. So we're going right to the top of the pyramid. That is the Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone. Okay, so the name is right out of The Godfather. I don't think that's by accident. Salvatore is also a nickname, Sal or Sonny. And Sonny Corleone was the son in The Godfather. Michael's brother, you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, The Godfather Part 1 and 2. So we have Salvatore Cordileone, the American prelate, he's called. He's known for his willingness to use the extraordinary form of the Roman rite of Mass. Now, don't forget also what I said before. This is on their website. This is not Eric the Freedom Screamer making stuff up to make the church look bad because I love to make them look bad. That's not what this is. I grew up in a Catholic family. We had 4 priests in my family at one time. I went to McQuaid Jesuit High School, and it says Jesuit High School on the outside of the building.
You got to figure there's Jesuits inside.
I've been to multiple mass ordinations at St. Patrick's Cathedral. I know the Catholic Church very well. I would love to love the Catholic Church, but I can't because of what they're doing. Now listen, I'm going to repeat this. The Roman Catholic Diocese of Las Vegas is an ecclesiastical territory. Let me stop right there. That means it's theirs, or at least
Ecclesiastica is the assimilation of church and state.
That's right. Ecclesiastic means is a religious term, and they're saying that Las Vegas is an ecclesiastic territory of the Roman Catholic Church in the Southern Nevada region of the United States. Boy, if that doesn't sound like a land claim or a claim of ownership and power and jurisdiction, I don't know what is. They're calling it a sea city. Rome is a sea city. Las Vegas is a sea city. It also says known for the right. Where are the list of? Oh, okay. Get this. They call the sea city of Las Vegas, and a sea city doesn't mean sea like the ocean. It means S-E-E, which is a term for
the Holy See.
The Holy See of Rome. And so when they say a city is a sea city, they're saying that city belongs to Rome. Now, you can dispute that. You can argue with him. Go ahead and argue with the Archbishop. Tell him he doesn't own it. He's going to tell you, oh, yes, he does. Just look at what we're doing with the courts, the police, and the corporations. He can prove he owns it. They own it on paper. They say that. Now, morally and honestly speaking, it's not their land. It's our land as American people. But as long as we're stupid enough to take the lesser of two evil concept and put it in a position of president, another man who's going to turn it over to the Vatican. I'll touch on that in a minute. The sea city of Las Vegas is a suffragan diocese of the ecclesiastical province of the Archdiocese of San Francisco. Other suffragan seas, those are sea cities, include Honolulu, Oakland, Reno, Sacramento, Salt Lake City, San Jose, Santa Rosa, and Stockton. They're claiming it all, people. And this is not me. Now, by the way, if you want to know how all this applies to Donald Trump, type into your search engine, very frightening and disturbing, these 3 men in black are much darker than they appear. And you watch the news conference of Donald Trump talking about the government shutdown from the Oval Office with a group of about a dozen people behind him, and there's not 1, not 2, but 3 Jesuit priests in uniform standing right next to and around Trump. One of them is standing close enough to French kiss Donald Trump in his right earlobe, okay? And I mean, he's right there. And now when they put a person next to the president, just to the immediate right, close enough to give him a shot with his elbow in the temple if he wants, if he does anything wrong, they're telling you something. That person has extreme power. And he's a Jesuit priest, dressed up as a priest. And very interestingly, the cross hanging around the priest's neck does not have a picture of Jesus on it. It has a picture of the fallen angel Lucifer, complete with head down and folded hands. Look at it yourself. Okay?
Is it upside down?
Well, almost, but that would have been too obvious. But they're making an overt claim that Luciferians run your government. I know this is a lot for some people to get their mind around, but you just go look at it yourself, people. Look at the news conference, government shutdown, Donald Trump with the Jesuit priest standing right next to him. Just type in, these 3 men in black are much darker than they appear. And the gentleman who did the presentation did a very good job. He also included at the end of it a mass at St. Peter's Basilica, which is the church in Rome, where all the Catholic bigwigs go to do their thing. And they're actually chanting in Latin, worshiping Lucifer. Flama Deo, Lucifer. I kid you not. They're literally saying, and they translate it for you, and it's very disturbing what's going on there. So look, you people can either accept the fact that evil is taken over at the highest levels, or you can go back to crack a beer, watch the game, play with the kids, play video games and be a delusional retard and watch your country be destroyed. And unfortunately, it's not really going to be the generation that's here. It's going to be the poor children that are growing up now that are going to inherit the nightmare of uninvolved, unenlightened parents who didn't do any parenting. They acted like children, being with their children, acting like one instead of acting like a leader and a true parent, a true what you would call a mother or father. I know the Bible says only call the Father, only the Father you should call Father, and Father in heaven should be called Father. So, be careful what words we use, and there's a reason for that, because most parents, most dads aren't acting like fathers, and most moms aren't acting like mothers. They're just basically caretakers who are going to kind of shuffle through. Now, look, I know the plate's full. I know there's a lot to do to keep everybody happy, keep the bills paid, keep the tax man off your back, but you can make 10 minutes, 15 minutes, on Monday and Tuesday this week to make a few phone calls for Chris in Las Vegas. Chris Cave is his last name. C-A-V as in Victor, E as in Edward. Cave. Chris Cave. That's who we have on tonight. This is who we're trying to help. I urge all our people out there, court watchers, court observers, single parents, all the people who follow the anti-Illuminati party. We haven't posted much up there recently, but we're going to get into some heavier stuff here as the time goes on because things are getting heavy. And what's going on in the White House with a Jesuit priest standing right next to Donald Trump talking about the government shutdown, and the Jesuit priest is dressed up as a Jesuit priest. He's not wearing a three-piece suit with a coat and tie, and we're just saying he's a Jesuit priest. You take a look at it yourself, people, and look at the cross hanging around his neck. Zoom in on it, and you will not see a picture of a man. You will not see a picture of the Lord and Savior Jesus. You will see a picture of the fallen angel, head down, hands folded, the whole with the wings, the whole smash. So, what's that all about? Okay, it begs a really good question. Who's in charge of the Oval Office? Those weren't Zionist, Ashkenazi Jew rabbis standing next to Trump. Those are three Jesuit priests out of the Roman Catholic Church, which Mike Pence swears an allegiance to, which Guillermo Barrios, masquerading as William Barr, is loyal to, which almost every director of the CIA, the NSA, and the DOD have been either Jesuit trained from a Jesuit university or skull and bones. Okay, so they don't hire any people at these top positions unless they work for the enemy. It's not a who's best qualified type of deal, whose resume looks best. No, you're in there only if you cut a deal with the enemy and with some very dark forces, and that's who we have running the show. And Trump doesn't have enough.
Let me share something.
Sure, go ahead, Chris.
You said cutting a deal with the enemy. I wanted to bring this up because this case with Lynn Benson I've been advocating and being an activist on, they came in with her with a pretextual stipulated plea agreement to take what she had in time served to be able to be reported or deported, as the case may be, back to the Philippines, where she actually is a Filipino non-citizen national. So citizen being a dangerous term for those who want to do their etymology research. However, this is what I'm seeing happening with a frequency that belies that it's actually a America-wide pattern and practice of deceit. Apparently some of these bar associations and the prosecutors' conferences and defense attorneys' conferences and state justice institute conferences put on by the SPLC and ADL are really doing some very, very bad, deceitful, dishonest services things. And what they're doing is they're operating a stipulated pre-agreement to let someone plea out, take a lesser sentence or time served, and get out. And then they work behind the scenes to develop another case simultaneously to, as soon as you take that one, they come back and re-prosecute you. And if you pled to a felony, they re-hit you with another felony. Now you're a two-time felon. You're on the bubble for mandatory times prison sentences and stuff. This is extremely devious, treacherous, treasonous, and it is really a obstruction of justice, denial of American due process, and it's a form of dual prosecution under the duplicity of, what do they call it, Eric, whenever you prosecute two times? Double jeopardy. I apologize, I should have known that one. Double jeopardy clause.
Yep.
And effectively they're doing a backdoor double jeopardy, much like this so-called traffic court is trying to do a bill of attainder. That's where there's no process of law and you're being imprisoned when you haven't been convicted of a crime, which I haven't. never been convicted of any crime. They had me falsely in there as a felon and a gross misdemeanor. I got that removed by talking to the Scope Challenge supervisor recently. But whenever they can order you to punishment or to be examined for competency, and they can have the ability to whack you up because they presume something without you being convicted, that is a bill of attainder, and that is a treasonable offense. And under Cohen's versus U.S., Cohen versus Virginia, this is when the judge becomes a tyrant and commits treason against the people. That's exactly what's happening in this case.
Correct. Let me give people the number for Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone. 415-614-5500. This is Salvatore Cordileone, 415. He's the Archbishop of the Bay Area, which includes Las Vegas. Las Vegas they extend quite far on the Archbishop, so Las Vegas is under his, according to him, under his jurisdiction. So let's ask him to stop covering up the 263 reported instances of sexual abuse by his priests. Look it up for yourself, people. This is one archbishop. There's a bunch of them around the country. So this is just for his area. 263 reported sex abuse cases. Yeah, these are credible reports. They were not just people saying, these are instances that he's attempting to cover up. So while he's busy doing that, let's ask him to take 10 minutes out of his busy day covering up the 263 sex abuse cases that he's trying to clean up and help out Chris a little bit. He's got all this power. Why don't you start using it to do some godly work, Mr. Cordileone, and get Chris out of this pickle. We're respectfully requiring. That's the word I like to use. Instead of saying, could you please, we're requiring you. We're not asking, we're telling, but we're telling nicely. We're respectfully requiring his immediate involvement in the Chris Cave case to cease, for these courts to cease and desist all prosecution and persecution of a patriot named Chris Cave. Oh, by the way, listen to this. The Capital Asset Support Corporation is listed on the diocese. Did you get that? This is on the Diocese of San Francisco and Las Vegas. This is what the Roman Catholic Church is laying claim to. Capital Asset Support Corporation. What does that mean in English? That means they're sucking and siphoning as much money as they can through the corporate infrastructure that they manage and the bar association and all the money they suck out of the economy. Because if you combine all the attorneys, district attorneys, public pretenders, judges, municipal, federal court of common pleas, state Supreme Court of Appeals, federal court, you combine all that together, man, you're talking about a lot of money. So they have on the diocese website for the Roman Catholic Church, the Capital Assets Support Corporation. Who do you think supporting their capital assets? You and me, folks. This is why as long as Donald Trump is being micromanaged by Jesuit priests in the Oval Office, in priest uniform, standing right next to him, you can expect no change whatsoever from Bush to Obama to Trump to Clinton to whoever socialist or neocon war pig is coming down the line next.
Obama-like.
The Capital Asset Support Corporation. Boy, that sounds like religion. That sounds like godly work. Boy, that sounds like Jesus is involved with that, doesn't it? The Capital Asset Support Corporation. Don't give me this garbage. The church is about God and about Christ and all this other stuff. The Capital Asset Support Corporation isn't doing any godly work, I can assure you. So anyway, the number to call Mr. Salvatore Sonny Cordileone, the American prelate, the Archbishop of the entire Western region, his number. Now be nice when you call, but be firm. Okay, we're not jerking around with him, but we're not going to be rude either. Anybody who calls swearing and threatening, we're going to get you or we're going to take you out, and that's not us. We're not going there. There's people who I will not help get out of pickles because they are using words on their Facebook like shoot and kill and take you out and I'm coming for you and all these things. I distance myself from those people. I respect a fighter, but only in a position of self-defense. As much as we are entitled and rightfully allowed to go on the offensive to take our freedom back, I don't recommend it right now. First of all, it's not a good moral play yet, and we don't have the numbers. We got the numbers, but it's not organized. We need the military to get their rear ends home from all these 900 military bases overseas and start protecting us and defending us from enemies domestic. They swore an oath to uphold
foreign and domestic.
To uphold our liberties and our natural rights and defend us against enemies foreign and domestic. And it seems like the only enemies they want to go after are ones that are foreign. Domestically, they seem to have enough state police and local sheriff departments to do it for them. And so we need the military to come home. We go into these courts, get these bootlicking Nazi bailiffs out of there, put the handcuffs on the judge as soon as they step outside the Constitution, and it's off to the detention center, military base, lock up all the judges and all the commanders of the state police immediately, go down to the courthouse, put a padlock on the door, and a nice big sign that says out of business, and put a handful of MPs out front, done deal. That's what we needed to take this republic back. We didn't get that with Donald Trump masquerading as Donald Trump with his Masonic name change and his Jesuit priests standing all around him in the Oval Office. That's our building. It doesn't belong to him. It doesn't belong to the president. It doesn't belong to the Vatican. It's ours. Let's take it back. But nicely and professionally for now. If you're attacked, I don't begrudge anybody the right to defend themselves. But I do not recommend offensive action in a physical form. I do recommend showing up in court in large numbers, even if it's a friend of yours who's got a traffic ticket, something small, so to speak. You go with 20 people and you fill that courtroom. For the Shane Bennett arraignment, 70 people overflowing the courthouse. They couldn't believe it. In a small town. That's a lot of activism. So the people are starting to wake up. And if we have large enough numbers, we need to protest. Protest is not a dirty word. I know prostitutes like that woman, what's her name? Dana Loesch, the head of the NRA there.
Oh, I think about Kamala Harris, one who slept with Willie Brown.
Well, listen, I don't want to get off track here, Chris. I want to focus on Dana Loesch because she was demonizing protesters. We got to fight against those protesters. This country was founded on protest, Mrs. Dana Loesch. Oh, and of course, she's with the NRA. Of all the groups, you could put what do you want to call it? A liberal in conservative drag, demonizing protesters as if protest is bad. No, protest isn't bad. Protest is very good. And the problem with people in the conservative movement, the problem with people on the right, so to speak, is they're sitting home watching the idiot box thinking Trump's going to save the day. They're not willing to get their fat rear ends out of the easy chair and go out and actually protest the problems that we're experiencing. They just don't want to do it.
John F. Kennedy said those who make peaceful dissent impossible make violent revolution inevitable.
Yep, and we need more people like him who are willing to take the risk of being killed. But hey, people, this life is very short. Eternity is very long. Make up your mind which side you're on and start acting like you're on that side. And if you're going to be on the side of righteousness and justice and goodness and the good guys, put that white hat on and leave it on. And don't tell me you're a white hat working for the black hats. That don't fly. If you're working for the black hats, you're working for the enemy, you're working for the enemy. I don't want to hear this stuff. There's all these good guys in the CIA and the FBI. Hey, I've seen it happen. The good ones get put out to pasture, retired early, fired, set up, whatever, and that's just too bad. That's the risk you got to go through if you're going to take the side of goodness and righteousness. There's risk. No more of this, go along to get along stuff and pretend you're a good guy working for a very bad system. That doesn't work. It didn't work for the Germans, and it's not going to work here. So the Archbishop's number. This is Archbishop Sonny Salvatore Sonny Corleone. He's the Archbishop of San Jose, Salt Lake City, San Francisco, and Las Vegas, both. He's the big cheese over that whole western area. Archbishop Corleone, Corleone, Corleone. And his number, now be nice when you call, okay, people? The number, once again, 415-614-5500. I'm going to run through all the numbers one more time, and we're going to end this in about 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm going to work backwards from Salvatore Corleone, the Archbishop, the guy who works for the Roman Catholic Luciferians, the guy who is laying claim to the diocese and the territory of Las Vegas and San Francisco, basically the entire west area. And I assure you, the archbishops in the east, they're doing the same thing here in the east and the Midwest and all over the country. Here's the words again. The archdiocese, the city of Las Vegas, is an ecclesiastical territory. It's not saying it's sovereign territory run by the people, a free area where Trump's going to bring you prosperity and make America great again. That's all BS to pacify people as long as possible until the next Democrat comes in and does their stuff, their brand of evil, the way they do it. Okay? So when someone very powerful who runs the Roman Catholic Church is saying that your city is an ecclesiastical territory, they're saying that that's theirs. It's not yours, no matter who you vote for Congress, no matter what lever you pull at the voting booth. The Archbishop runs the show. And in this case, it's Archbishop Corleone, 415-614-5500. Call, be nice, be professional. Just say, hey, I have very strong concerns about this Chris Cave case. He sounded like a pretty smart guy on the radio to me, or on the broadcast that we're posting here. He's helped out a lot of people. Why don't you stop worrying about the 263 sex abuse cases you're covering up, Mr. Corleone, and start doing some godly work and help out Chris Cave get out of this nightmare? Because you're the guy who can make this go away. You can call all the people you want, but if you're not calling the Archbishop, you're not going to get any results. And part of the reason we have had results with what we're doing here, getting a lot of people out of situations like this, like Anna Taylor and Tanya McCash, and although her case is they're still trying to come after her, but we got her out of lockup, and we got out Solange Martinez, who now is going to, who's now a free woman because of what everybody did helping her, and Tyler Whitman, and Michael Large very recently, that Air Force veteran. So the reason we've had success is because we squeeze the Archbishop. Calling anybody else helps. You got to call the DA and the judge as well. But the real man who could make this go away with one phone call is the Archbishop Corleone. Once again, 415-614-5500. Call him Monday, call him Tuesday. Chris's court appearance is on Wednesday. So we're trying to muster some support here over the next 48 hours, big time. All right? So it's 415-614-5500. Once again, 415-614-5500. If you'd like to call the judge, the communist Chinese judge, Cynthia Lung, who can't understand the American concept of freedom, 702-229-4673. The judge's number is 702-229-4673. The number of the mayor for Las Vegas is, her name's Carolyn Goodman. Her number is 702-229-6241. That's the mayor, 702-229-6241. It's important that we put the squeeze on her and let her know that we're going to boycott Las Vegas. You want to make her really freak out and have some legitimate worry? Tell her there's not going to be any more money spent in Las Vegas. Who's going to want to travel there after listening to this broadcast and realizing that if you're a smart, patriotic, America-loving American person, that you could get locked up at the drop of a dime if the police and the courts somehow don't like you? Maybe they don't like the way you dress. Maybe they don't like the color of your skin. Maybe they don't like your sexual orientation or the way you look. They could lock you up for anything if we let
or your American political views.
Yeah, if we let the precedent be set on cases like Chris's. So the judge's number is 702-229-4673. The mayor's number is 702-229-6241. And the district attorney, this is the prosecuting attorney, also known as the prostitution attorney, his name's Steve Wolfson, son of a wolf. And his number is Call the DA. Ask him why is he prosecuting a case that's already been clearly adjudicated. Chris has already been through the psych eval system. It has already been determined that Chris is not only smart and sane, he's brilliant. The DA's number is 702-671-2500. That's Wolfson, the DA for Clark County, Utah. He's the head of all the other DAs. You want to call him as well as the Archbishop and the judge and the mayor. 702-671-2500. If I have anything to do with this, and you all out there, we're going to cost the city of Las Vegas hundreds of millions of dollars in lost tourism because nobody in their right mind, unless they're an absolute fool, is going to ever set foot within the city limits of Las Vegas and spend a penny there on their scam hotel rooms and their scam casino where the house always wins and everything to do with Satanism and sinning. Hey, I'm not against a little fun, but this place is getting to be downright dangerous. So the Archbishop...
Say, Eric?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
To one point about Mr. Steve Wolfson, I entered my subpoena for the grand jury that I was summoned to attend to and showed up dutifully because I do my duty. It was issued by Mr. Steve Wolfson under the aegis of one of his deputy district attorneys. I think his name was Walker. And I entered that in evidence for myself along with that dismissal over at the family court where they found for the adversary whenever my wife made the spontaneous confession on the record of the court that the FBI had called her up to tell her I was trying to get my guns back and urged her to get the extension of the temporary restraining order to prevent me from doing so because they claimed that she'd be in fear of her life. And the judge found that preposterous and absurd and ruled against her and told the FBI they got to do their own stuff. But I put those on as evidences to my competency because that was the same day that I was due for the competency examination, and I'm reasonably sure, I put in my paperwork, that Mr. Steve Wolfson would not call an incompetent man to testify before the grand jury. To using his
Right. So there's another, right? So that's another question you may put to Mr. District Attorney Wolfson. All you people out there who want to help Chris, well, is Chris Cave really that mentally incompetent? If you're going to call him for grand jury duty, no. So, and is the Archbishop? Please stop.
Actually, a witness for the grand jury, but that's okay.
A witness for the grand jury. Even more important, I would think. So, or your credibility would have to be. So anyway. So we're asking the district attorney to cease and desist the persecution of Chris Cave. We're telling the mayor we're going to boycott Las Vegas. Never going to spend a penny in that town. We're going to find other places to go on vacation. We're going to tell the Archbishop to please take a break from covering up the 263 cases of sex abuse and help out Chris Cave because we'd like a positive result in this, and then we'll leave you alone. And of course, the judge can say whatever you want to her, but once again, we don't threaten, we don't swear. We're going to be professional and polite, but we're going to be firm. We are respectfully requiring that this entire persecution nightmare be removed from the dockets and leave Chris alone so he can do what he wants to do. And Chris never hurts anybody. He only helps people, and the list of people that Chris Cave has helped is a mile long, and I'm not joking. I mean, every time I've called Chris and said, hey, can you come on tonight? We're going to do a broadcast for, Solange Martinez. She's in her Anna Taylor. Somebody, we need your help in this way or that. Chris is always there, and he's there right away. He's there for all the time he needs to give up. He's never, he's just been great. And so I really would like to help out Chris here, and I'm asking everybody out there, court watchers, court observers, single parents, sign together, speak with one voice, call on behalf of Chris.
Victims of malicious prosecution.
Victim of malicious prosecution. That's very well stated. And we're going to try to get the email addresses up for all these people we gave phone numbers out for. But if we don't, and we can't, get up to help us out, people. Look it up yourself. You can get online and find out the email for, the judge or the Archbishop. Send a couple of emails. Make a couple of phone calls during this week, especially Monday and Tuesday, because Chris's court appearance is on Wednesday. So right up until Wednesday morning, I want to be burying I would like a bunch of people to leave. Let's fill up some voicemail boxes tonight. When Archbishop comes to work tomorrow, I want him to hear, your mailbox is full. I want the judge to hear, your voicemail is full. Please empty your mailbox, okay? So start calling tonight. leave a message, tell them who you are, live in the light. They're not going to come to kick your door in because you're helping Chris out with the phone call. Have a little guts, people. If you can't make a phone call now, well, I mean, what good are you? Your children aren't going to have any future. They're going to be worse slaves than we are now. This stuff isn't getting any better by itself. It only gets better if we get involved as a unified force to do good and just and righteous work for a real patriot, a real scholar, and a real gentleman like Chris Cave. So I'm going to say good night. I want to thank David Pruitt. I want to thank for being here from Pruitt'sTreeResin.com. Support the movement by supporting Pruitt's Tree Resin. Go there, order something, or type in the word freedom in the promo code, and you'll save 10%. And that way they'll know that you came from this broadcast and that you're helping and you're doing some good work, buying a really good product. Tree resin is good for all kinds of stuff, including burns and cuts and infections and all inner ear infections. You can use it internally to kill parasites if you have stomach issues. It's really a miracle product. So go to Pruitt'sTreeResin.com, and I want to thank Dave Pruitt for being with us tonight and giving a testimonial because he knows Chris. And I want to thank Daniel Leach for giving us all the time he did. I know he didn't want to be up late tonight, but he is, and he's doing great. Hold on, I'll get to you in a second, Chris. And Teresa, Daniel's girlfriend, the soon-to-be wife, and I want to thank her for all, for donating her time as well. She's always there to cover if Daniel's working. Teresa steps up to the plate and gets the call started and takes care of business the way a real great woman would, and she is. And so I want to thank her. I want to thank Jody for helping out in this case, Jody in Michigan. I want to thank Heidi in Minnesota. She's doing great research and great work, and we're going to be watching Heidi very closely because she's under a lot of attack as well for the great work that she does. And but everybody's holding up really well. I don't think I forgot anybody tonight. Jody, Heidi, Daniel, Dave, and Chris, thank you for being so strong, and thank you for everything you've done for people. Just a quick closing word and then a goodbye to all your listeners out there who have enjoyed hearing you. And I want them to know that people, I know people have really enjoyed hearing from Chris because I've got feedback. Chris is just a brilliant asset to this movement. That's why they're coming after him. And so I want people to realize that if we don't help Chris out of this jam he's in, you may not hear from Chris again. Okay, this is serious stuff. So, Chris, the final word?
Well, in the beginning, a patriot is a scarce man. It's only whenever he has the intestinal fortitude to proceed and stick his neck out like the turtle out of his shell that other people start to rally around him. But on this call, we have a lot of wonderful people who have great inspiration, who are patriots themselves, who love America and the concepts of the actual objective rule of law, not this legal crap that these bar agents have foisted down our throats against our, most people didn't even notice they changed the legal system. But
bingo.
If we don't make a phone call, boy, it's pretty tough, and I certainly appreciate everyone that's came on and spent their valuable time to listen to this show tonight. It's just a truth show. I'm telling the absolute truth. I'm an innocent man falsely accused by a bunch of people who are trying to protect their own posteriors from the monstrous legal liabilities they have because of the bad faith, malicious, false arrest, egregious abuse of governmental authority, and prosecutorial discretion that is so exponentially large. This could easily be several $100 million a case for wrongful arrest and wrongful imprisonment. This is why they want to shut me up and circumnavigate the legal system and put me away under the pretext of pseudoscience and witch doctorage under the so-called psychology, psychiatry, and mental health exam ruse to confuse the people, trying to give credibility to a system that's based upon nothing but unsubstantiated, biased, and substantial financial interest of the assessors and their contractual agreements with the corporate agencies they send them to be examined by to give them the assessment they're looking for. So it's not a fair, neutral assessment whatsoever. It's biased, it's skewed by their financial interest, the contracts they enjoy the egregious unjust enrichment from. And this is just a horrific situation. It's a dangerous time to be an American, but with us working together and making calls for one another, perhaps we can turn the corner and make this country come back to what the founders and the creator intended it to be in the very beginning. Thank you very much for having me along.
Awesome. Very well said. And since you gave a quote, I'm going to end with one myself. And this one was very interesting because and I don't have the name of the author in front of me. I'll get this to everybody up on the internet sometime or on our next broadcast. But if people have heard the saying, America, right or wrong. Okay, and that always kind of bothered me because if America's wrong, there's no such magic, perfection in this country that we're just always right. But guess what? The rest of the saying, and I found this in a history book. That was not the full saying, just America, right or wrong. The full quote was the following: America, right or wrong, when right, to be kept right, when wrong, to be made right. And that's that people have conveniently left out. Many of our teachers have conveniently left out the second part of that. It's not just America, right or wrong. It's, hey, yeah, right or wrong, but when we're right, to be kept that way, and that requires activism. And when we're wrong, when the country or the system is wrong or corrupt, you got to make it right. When right, to be kept right. When wrong, to be made right. And that's an even stronger call to activism. So when it is wrong, and our court system has nothing to do with justice, that we have to make it right. And we're not going to let this happen to Chris. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Daniel, and thank you very much, Daniel, for being so generous with your time tonight. Thank you, people. We're going to follow this case at courtroomwatch.com, and hopefully we'll get up on YouTube channel, and we'll get it all over Facebook. And people, now listen, be a force multiplier. Blast this out to everybody you know. Repost it on Facebook. Put it up on Twitter. Blast it out on Instagram. Anything you can think of to get some traction for Chris's case, because we need to help this man in a very corrupt system. So, Daniel, you want to close out the show? And thank you very much, people.
Absolutely. I just want to say thank you, everybody here, for listening and watching and sharing this video. You can find more at courtroomwatch.com, studio1776.org. We're going to share it at Single Parents Helping Single Parents, where we have 75,000 subscribers. As you guys were listening tonight, Chris Cave is very much not a crazy person. He's very informed, very methodical about his information, and I just want to ask you for your support for Chris Cave and Courtroom Watch. And again, thank you so much for watching the video. Please share this wherever you can, and if you can, please make phone calls, send emails, do something to help this man who's helped so many people at courtroomwatch.com. Again, God bless. Have a good evening, and we will keep you guys informed and let you know what's going on with Courtroom Watch and the Chris Cave case. Until we see you next time, God bless, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, here.